Hey guys, welcome back. We're gonna be talking about the new series that just started in Shonen Jump today. Since the video where I read every manga in Shonen Jump 3 weeks ago, the axe has fell, so they axed 3 series out of their catalog, and those series were Katagami, Ikedan Bros, and Ping Pong Peril. Now, do I feel vindicated because those were the lowest 3 series out of the entire magazine in my ranking? Yeah, I won't lie, I feel a little good for that, predicting that, but that also means that 3 new series have started in the magazine, and those series are Gonron Egg, The Mage Next Door, and Hero Girl and Demon Lord Call It Quits. I'm going to be talking a little bit about each one and adding them to the tier list today. Granted, these series just started, so, things might change in the future, but just consider these my first impressions, essentially, of these series and what I think of them. Here's the updated tier list. I made a new one so I could put everything on there. You can see this is what the spread's looking like at the moment. The 5 through 3-star tiers haven't changed at all. I've still been reading my series weekly. Ichi's really good right now. Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi's really good right now, as is Akane Banashi. And Kawarobachi's, some interesting things are happening, still following that weekly as well. And then in the drop tier, you can see those 3 series have been removed, and we're going to add the 3 new ones on the tier list. Getting into the new series, The Mage Next Door is essentially bootleg Mashal with same face syndrome. This one's a slice of life, action, comedy type series. I'm just gonna say it straight up, the art of the series is not good enough to carry the mediocre writing and the kind of aimless plot of the series. It is mainly a comedy series, so I don't have super high expectations of it. I'm not expecting incredibly intricate fantasy world building or cutthroat political intrigue. I'm just expecting a series like this to be fun, and The Mage Next Door isn't really fun to read, so if I were to put it on the tier list, I'm going to put it right here above Elusive Samurai, but below Shinobi Undercover. I think Shinobi Undercover at least has like a cute relationship between the main leads, a cute romance subplot, so there's a little something there. Yeah, all these 3 series are definitely lacking a little bit in the art department. If I were to make changes to the series, because I don't just want to be negative, here's some suggestions for improvement. Now, I do think it's a little late for this. These changes should have been implemented before the series debuted in the magazine, between when it was a one-shot and when it was a full-blown series. But I changed the art style. So instead of doing just generic manga art style, go for something more graphic, more bold, more fun. I'd say something stylish like Pantheon Stalking or the Pokemon Adventures manga style. That could be really fun. Just make it memorable, make it lighthearted, make it like quirky. Just something to really push the atmosphere that the series wants to go for. And then the writing, I definitely think the writing's lacking a little in this series too. Here's my suggestion for what I think makes a kind of slice of life comedy like this work. You really need to have something to hold on to because the main adventure of the story is so disjointed and so chaotic. Focus more on the relationships between characters in the opening couple chapters before you go on to these crazy monster / villain of the week type things with the characters. Why should I care about this main character to the point where I need to be cheering him on when he fights if I don't know really anything about him, right? A really fun angle to take for this type of series would be to give this guy like a family or a friend, because this is where I thought the series was going in chapter 1, where he meets like this family. There's a young boy in the household and then like his mom, and they kind of take the main character in, who's this super powerful dead inside type of magician. They kind of take him in, and then he sleeps over at their house and he eats food with them, and then he goes out and he fights the baddie of the week. I really thought that he was just gonna essentially get adopted into their family, and that would have probably been more fun because then you could have gotten some cute adventures with like this guy and his random pet grown human, kind of vaguely Roboco-esque, vaguely Doraemon-esque. This is a little bit of a fish out of water story where he's super powerful, he's not human, he goes around doing whatever he wants in the human world. Give him maybe like a guy to be standing by his side going like, hey, you can't be doing this stuff, or a straight man, you know, to ground his antics, or a little buddy to kind of get dragged along with his antics. Something like that would be really funny. I think they just needed to give readers a little something to grasp onto before like taking off. Why should I care that he's fighting random NPC characters when I don't even really care about him yet? We're gonna put this in the dropped tier. I've kind of seen all I really want to see of this series. Moving on to Hero Girl and Demon Lord Call It Quits. The amount of times I've had to look up this name to say it right is kind of crazy, but not a huge fan of the light novel title. It's not very memorable. The concept of this series is a typical cohabitation, and they were roommates kind of thing between a protagonist, sparkly magical girl hero type character, and then the antagonist, quotation marks, who is the Demon Lord. This is a slice of life high school rom-com series. The art's not terrible. I am going to say the design of the female lead strays too close to lolly for my tastes. I've seen the cover of the one shot where her outfit and her expression were quite suggestive, so I do kind of know what the author is trying to go for here, and I'm not a big fan of that. The male lead is also already holding her in chapter 1 and she's blushing, and so it's very clearly a romance subplot that's going to be going on in the background. I just don't need to read a series where a character that looks 12 years old falls for and fawns over a guy that looks 23. Sorry, it's just not for me, so I'm gonna put this in dropped as well. I'm gonna put it above the Mage Next Door though. I do think the art is better. Like, it's okay, and I'm sure it'll do what it's trying to do pretty well. If I were to suggest some changes for this series, I'd say definitely shorten the title. It's not memorable, and okay, imagine liking this series and then trying to recommend it to your friend, and you're like, the new series in Jump is so peak, Hero Girl and Demon Lord Call It Quits, definitely give it a read, and they just look at you with a 1,000-mile stare that's like, are you really recommending me isekai slop right now? Right. They can definitely come up with something. Put a little thought, a little brain power into it, and they can come up with something. They're not going to do this, but I would suggest they change the female main characters' designs. It's just really not my cup of tea, but it's definitely what the creator's going for, so that is just what it is. And then these last 2 points of suggestion, I'd say, are still applicable. If the artist kind of pushes line weight and values in the art, that could be really fun. The style of the series is kind of pop art, and I definitely could see a lot of joy that could be had if they included things like foreshortening in battle scenes, line weight to really make the female character's cuteness pop, kind of hearts and sparkles, that kind of decorous stuff, maybe some SFX for the male character when he attacks. They could definitely play with stuff like cute mascots, maybe even fourth wall breaks with the male lead character. It would be so funny if he was the only one aware that he was in a Shonen Jump manga. And then I would also suggest they minimize the dialogue and text / speech bubbles in layouts. I think especially for series that are mainly gag manga or comedy focused series, it can be really beneficial to make it a nice, smooth, and quick read. For lighthearted series, you really want your audience to be able to smoothly guide their eye throughout the page, knowing exactly where they're supposed to be reading next. Like, make the panel layout extremely clear, extremely crisp, and extremely satisfying to read. sometimes dialogue is just filler dialogue, like a character agreeing or a character just randomly saying stuff that's not super important to the scene or to the joke that's trying to be delivered. Overall, I think this is really cute, and it's probably doing what it's trying to do decently well. It's just really not my kind of thing, so I'm gonna leave it here. I probably won't be reading any future chapters. Gonron Egg. Save this one for last since it's the one series from this batch that's actually up my alley. It's a battle adventure series following a scrappy protagonist as he overcomes his upbringing and goes on an action-filled journey of growth with his best friend that just so happens to be an alien parasitic egg ? The number one chief complaint people have about this series is the art style. I'm gonna give you a little hot take right now, but I actually don't mind the art style. It's kind of tipping off my nostalgic sensors. It's giving vague Hunter x Hunter era manga style, and it's making me kind of like, I'm chill, I'm sat, I'm just here to see what happens. I will say the character art and the background are vastly different from each other, and there definitely gets to a point where it's just kind of like, wow, this is a little bit ridiculous. I don't want to mansplain manga creation to you, but essentially because of like the weekly deadline grind, it's very common that the artist who draws the characters for the series and the artists who draw the backgrounds for the series are like different people. So that's why you can clearly see in this series that the character art is very like thick line work, and it pops out compared to the background art that's like more thin and generic looking. I won't say that it's not an issue at all because it can definitely take you out of the story and the world at times, but I will say that's not really a deal breaker for me. I still have been enjoying the aspects I've been enjoying regardless of the disconnect, but it is a little crazy. There's definitely room for improvement by both the background artists and the main artists, and if they can just like kind of meet each other in the middle instead of being at the polar ends of the spectrum of art style, I think that'd help a lot. It doesn't have to be perfect 100%, they look like they've been drawn by the same person, but just like kind of reel it in a little bit toward the center, and then that way if there's a specific fight where the artist wants the disconnect to be super evident, for example, if a character's jumping out of the world toward the reader, like popping out of the screen a little bit, it'll really be emphasized, but you kind of want that to be an intentional choice instead of just your characters look like they were cut out of a piece of paper and then glue sticked onto the backgrounds. I do really love the monster design of this series. So there's these characters that are essentially alien body horror type of characters, and I love how like grotesque and disgusting they look, and I look forward to hopefully the character artist improving to the point where they can change out their singular pen they probably use for all their work to a more fine point pen and do like a really detailed and gorgeous and super creepy spread of like one of these alien overlord type guys. They have weird guts sticking out of them, they have weirdly morphed faces. I think it could be really fun if the artist pops off for some more detailed spreads. I can at least tell the artist has a unique style and a unique vision, and it's not uncommon that art improves over the course of a series' run. That's on the art. What's going to make or break this series, though, is the writing. That's why I've made a to be determined tier down here, and we're just going to put Gonron Egg in there for now. I'm going to have to read more of the series to tell. As of recording, there's only 3 chapters out. We're going to need more for the story for this kind of series. There's a lot of potential, I think, for this fantasy world, and that could be either a pro or a con depending on just what message the artist wants to get across and how skilled they are at getting that message across. Only 3 chapters out, there's already some pretty complex and darker themes being introduced into this world. For gag comedy series or comedic slice of life series, there's a limit to how mid something can be. But if you start introducing and building a epic fantasy world with monsters and slavery and parasitism and themes of like caste systems, you better have the writing skills to back it up, and fumbling any of these topics could result in a series that's completely unreadable. I'm going to go into spoilers of this series for a little bit, so if you don't want to read the spoilers, go ahead and just skip to the next section. It's only spoilers up to chapter 3, but again, some major things happen even in the end of chapter 1, so it's kind of crazy that we've already been introduced to all these themes. We got body horror, alien invasion vibes, slavery / caste systems, codependency / parasitism, possible mental manipulation. And then this was the thing that got me the most when I was reading chapter 1. The protagonist's head getting chopped off in the first chapter and then the light fading out of their eyes was low-key diabolical, I won't even lie. There are other series in this magazine that get dark and messed up. For example, like there's slavery in One Piece and caste systems, and in Hunter x Hunter there's some absolutely brutal stuff regarding bodily autonomy. But guys, it was chapter 1, and it's not like a bad thing. I just hope that this all goes somewhere and isn't a one-time decapitation panel for shock value. I maybe want to see some lasting consequences, maybe the main character being a little more hesitant next time, or the Egg character valuing his friend a little more to protect him. Just something that shows that the situations that happen in the series have weight instead of just being like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks and then clapping and then moving on. I just finished reading chapter 3 last night, and having one of the aliens suck someone dry like a strawberry kiwi Capri Sun was also a little bit insane, won't even lie. Again, this is a shonen magazine. Let's not start having stuff like Berserk in it, but also having some of those Berserk monster designs. Won't lie, I'd kind of be down for it. This is my one big question for the series at the moment. So the egg thing is an egg of the alien species, and it tells the protagonist that he's going to be the prince of the monsters. So when it hatches, it's gonna like take over and dominate all the evil monster overlords. And don't we kind of see a problem with that? The main character is kind of helping this guy who's gonna become a tyrant and take over the world. I'm not going to pass judgment on it quite yet because obviously we're only in chapter 3. There could be some more complexity. It could be some kind of commentary on the nature of codependent friendships. It could be commentary on parasitism. It could be an implication of brainwashing. It could even be a little thought on willful ignorance. Like, is he turning a blind eye on purpose to the potential repercussions of this thing? Is it like a commentary on the perpetuation of the cycle? The protagonist used to be a slave, so now it's trying to say he hasn't really broken out of the cycle and it's not that easy to break out of the cycle. We'll see where that part goes. And to cap off my thoughts on Gonron Egg, I do have one theory, and that already makes me really happy because I would have never been able to make a theory for the other 2 series. Being able to make a theory for the series means you at least got a little something there, right? A little bit of a seed of potential for the future. I'm gonna guess the twist for the series is that we're gonna have a To Your Eternity moment where the protagonist dies and what hatches out of the egg takes his form. So this would be a sort of two characters converge into one character type of plot, and I think that's always something really fun. And it could be uniquely possible for the series because the egg character is an egg. He's representative of potential. The power of friendship compels us, but maybe it's trying to say that what the egg experiences, the nurture is going to overrule his nature and he's gonna end up becoming a better person. But I think it could be really fun if in that process he does lose a little something in his only friend on the planet. We also haven't met this black-haired character yet, so I'm very excited to see where the series goes, and I do think it has a lot of potential. It just really needs to lock in and stick the landing on some of these themes and explorations. I'll have faith in it until proven otherwise. So here is the end tier list as of early November 2025. I have moved Odor of the Flame up above Shinobi Undercover solely because I watch a YouTuber that showed a panel of Odor and okay, don't roast me, but the panel of Odor had a really strong, muscular lady striking a badass pose, and I remembered just how good the art is. Like, the story is probably still horrible, but I really think this mangaka just needs someone to write for them and they can illustrate the story and it'll be really fantastic. But I moved that one up and I might give it another shot at some point, if only just to see the hot women that this guy draws, because as shown in Red Hood, he is a fan of buff, busty ladies, and at least that is something we have in common. And then also I saw a page of Blue Box that made me kind of want to give the series another chance as well. Again, there's nothing really wrong with Blue Box, it's just not my cup of tea, but I saw something that was kind of cool and subversive of the genre, and I think it's implied that at the moment, as of recording this, the two main characters are actually not together romantically, which is kind of funny. That's just a vaguely the vibes I got from how the manga tuber was talking about them, but yeah, maybe when the series ends, I'll give it a read. I just really can't handle drama series being stretched out. If they end on a dramatic cliffhanger every week, I would not be able to handle it. I'd have to read this all in a binge. So when Blue Box ends, I'll probably give it another shot. But everything else, I'm pretty satisfied with where they are on the tier maker right now. And then Kagurabachi is in a crazy arc as well. We just hit chapter 100, and if you're keeping up to date with it, I'll just say the character with the big ol' eyes is really freaking me out on multiple levels, and I'm horrified but also very interested to see where it goes. And the memes are also top notch. I won't put any on screen because they're obviously spoilers, but I hope the community never stops with the memes, honestly. They just make the series so much more fun to talk about. Elusive Samurai is confirmed to be ending soon. With that, we'll have one more slot, and I'm really crossing my fingers for another hit series. Please be something good. But everything else, I honestly can't see ending anytime soon. For example, like the Mage Next Door, Hero Girl and Demon Lord Call It Quits, and Gonron Egg, those will be around at least for another 10 weeks. No question there. And then Shinobi Undercover, like, it's okay. It's not anything peak, but it's fine. It's not anything super offensive, so I could see it going on for a little bit longer. And then like these series, even though I've dropped them personally, they're still completely okay as well. And then obviously everything up here, I don't think anything in the numbered categories is ending anytime soon. I had like a minor scare a couple weeks ago because Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi was so low on the TOC, and that freaked me out because I was like, no way are they axing this series that I would rate a 5 out of 5? Because they have axed series I've rated 5 out of 5 before. I loved Astro Royale, for example, and it was brutal when they axed it. Shonen Jump saw that he was making Tokyo Revengers, went, we want a series like this, got the guy who made the series to make a similar series for Jump. It was exactly the vibes of Tokyo Revengers. Just maybe a little bit better even, because the characters were related. So there would be no like weird shipping stuff to distract from the power of friendship shonen battle stuff. And then you axe the series. Like, come on now. And then I also liked I Tell C, which also got axed. I didn't read that while it was still ongoing, but I read it recently after in a bit of a binge, and that one was really fun. It's kind of unique to get a murder mystery detective series, and I always love those, so that was good too. I think I gave that one a 4 out of 5. Like, come on. If they were to axe Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi while keeping stuff like Hematen in the magazine, I would flip out. Won't even lie. I would lose it. Obviously, they don't compete for the same kind of slot in the magazine because Hematen's rom-com, high school, fan service type of series, while Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi is like a bona fide battle shonen. But like, I would lose it. Anyways, that's my shonen ramblings for today. I'm not sure if my next video is going to be the Sakamoto video or if it's going to be another magazine read-through video, because I'm currently reading through Weekly Shonen magazine, which is Kodansha's Shonen Jump rival, essentially. I have to read some pretty atrocious and some pretty long series for that video, so it might be a little while in coming. For reference, that's the magazine that runs Gachiakata, but it's also the magazine that runs Rent-A-Girlfriend, so send me your prayers, I need them. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you're checking out any of these new series. If you make your own Shonen Jump tier list, definitely send it to me somehow, or tell me where everything ranks. I love seeing other people's tier lists, especially if they're different from mine. But I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.